Hello, hello, hello. Welcome one and all. Welcome to the office hours. Oh, whew. Getting started here. Hello. Welcome. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the AstroPub, your favorite bar at the end of the galaxy. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We've got a good one for you. This is a live stream where I talk about Star Citizen for several hours. But we are in the depths of the drought, the content drought, so this might be a little shorter. But before I get started, I do want to mention that we are sponsored again by Factor. So you can use my code, get 50% off of your first box with Factor. It is a fantastic service, which will go more in depth, but they reached out and said, you know, hey, we want to sponsor your streams. I was like, cool, I'll do that. So is that a fact, Jack? Or welcome everybody. How y'all doing? Planning a vacation with friends? Nice. Kind of ending mine here. I've got, I think, like a week or two left before I'm finished with my summer vacation. So I also got to buy a ticket for CitizenCon and hotel and everything like that. Just not going to be that bad. I'll spend some stuff on a credit card and such, but I'll have to do a stream-a-thon to help me out with that one. Just US for this one, unfortunately. So normally it's international. Normally a lot of this stuff's international, but I think this deal's on the US. Yeah, that's part of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about 320. We're going to look at the patch notes for 320, which have been kind of released because apparently it's been EPTU. So why are you up, Peruna? Hey, how you doing, Echo? It's a busy time of year for y'all, I know. So, Finland? I don't think it's in Finland. It might, but I think it's just US. So I'm going to give this is a very, very limited thing. For those of you who are familiar with these streams, I kind of go over a little bit about what's going on in you know, for content creation, kind of stuff I'm doing. Sometimes I'll show off things like my, you know, like my minis and stuff like that, but I haven't done any minis because I've been focusing mostly on writing. So, oh, being 1 hour ahead. Okay, yeah. Stealth minis, yes. Hey, Shinobi, how you doing, buddy? Eminence, how you doing, buddy? So, a couple things to kind of talk about. Number one, this is a sub.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my
62. Holy.
But you can never,
You've been here forever, Gonzo.
ever take away my space game.
Yep.
Gonzo209X just resubscribed for 62 months. So
Thank you. Thank you so much for that subscription for 200. For 209, no, it's not 200 months. 62 months there, Gonzo. You're a very important pupper, very impressive. Mr. Any pedestrian, this is your fault. You're drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Now you're good. People are gonna get it out of the way, anyways. There, Gonzo.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Platypus just resubscribed for 5 months. And another thing, I want a 1-to-1 scale anvil carrot.
Thank you, Doc.
GRDF?
I don't think JR's gonna do that.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Moria_the_chose just resubscribed for 16 months. Wow, we have reached our 1-year anniversary. Here's my show of commitment to you.
Yeah, 1 year. That's nuts. Or 16 months, actually. Hey, thank you so much there, Mario. You're a very important pub. We're very impressive. Mr. If any of the pedestrian, this is your fault. You drink night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Yeah, I become Barney there, Radar. Thank you for that, y'all. I know some people, I've seen some comments on the Twitch or on the YouTube VOD that are like, I don't like it, I can't stand it when Paul does his little dancey spinny thing and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's part of the live stream experience, which is why you should join us live. Twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, YouTube.com/TheAstroPubLive. Join us live for this experience, because you can see the hype of the chat going out for it, so. I'm here for the dancey streamy thing, yeah. Gosh, what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, just a part of the show. Hey, Nick. So, oh, well, there we go again. Well, I'll wait, because every time I keep trying to talk, someone's going to be like, I'm going to subscribe. It's just fine. You're bullying me with money. I'm okay with that. No PQs.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Cypress_star just resubscribed for 15 months.
Thank you so much for that 15 months of support there, Cypress, with that Twitch Prime sub. You are a very important pub, very impressive pisser, very neat pedestrian. This is your fault. You're regional drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Oh. He's gonna hate and enjoy the chance. Yeah, that's fine. I do wonder how Perun is popular word that's username Peruna, YouTube user, and a YouTuber named Perun. He really does interesting PowerPoints. Yeah, I know Perun. All right, I'm saying Perun, not Peruna. It's Peruna, not Perun. Yeah, because Perun is the god of PowerPoints. Yeah, it's a bit of a dance party. Get starting out. I'm gonna start talking again and see if someone chats, because that's always what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna sub or something like that. But so this is the time of year where interest in Star Citizen starts to decline pretty significantly. Thank you for them biddies. And Paul's weekly workout. I wish. I've been getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and walking just to try to beat the heat. And if I don't get up at 6 o'clock, I have to get up at like 7 or 8. And even by 8 o'clock, it's like 5 degrees hotter outside when I go for a walk. And I've been doing routine like workout, like exercises, like weightlifting and stuff like that in my garage around noon, and it's like a sauna. But it's cooler inside than in my garage than it is outside and that kind of stuff, so I'm enjoying it though. Just a suggestion, maybe upgrade your helmet with a silent mask and with a built-in microphone. Push button shield visor open and functional helmet. Sure, I'll do that when I make thousands of dollars off of this off of this content. I don't make shit off of this content. It's nice, don't get me wrong, and it definitely has helped a lot for like the family finances, as well as making sure to justify this work. I've gotten a lot of stuff done and been able to expand a lot, but That's one of those things I was going to talk about. Was one of the things I've been doing recently is I to explain this because I think a lot of people get it when they watch my YouTube content, which is or my lore content. I always wanted to be a writer. When I was young, when I was a young teenager, I wanted to write novels. Just what I wanted to do. I was creative. I wrote all the time. Garbage, but you know, when you're that kind of age, you do. If you're passionate about something, you do it, even if it's garbage. And I kind of stopped doing that when I started doing content on YouTube and Twitch, which was around the time I was 18, 20. Between 18 and 20. You know, life got in the way, got other things. But recently, when I've had some more downtime, I remember how much I've missed that kind of creative expression. It's nice covering other people's stuff, you know, especially, you know, the investigation and the that sort of thing. But I've always missed, like, doing things on my own, creating my own interesting universes and telling my own stories. So I decided to pick it back up again. And I've talked to people. I've been saying this over the last couple of weeks that I'm writing this and it'll be published on a website. I'll try to be doing it chapter by chapter. Yeah, I'm at like 1,300 words. Or not 13,000 words. I'm sorry, 13,000 words. Yeah. I'm at like over 20 pages done, and it's not even done with chapter 1. So just to give you a concept, I've only been writing it for like 2 weeks. So that's a lot of content. So hopefully you'll enjoy it and I'll kind of talk about it. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up is because I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do this, this is the way I do my stream. It's the way I do it. If I'm doing it, I'm going to try to do it as effectively as possible. I'm going to try to make people want to read it and do a good job. And one of the things I know is that, especially from my research, when you're doing stuff online, it helps to have a banger ass cover page of some kind, you know, like a cover, a book cover, and possibly illustrations to add in there every so often to kind of spark the imagination, especially with web novels and such. Am I troping hard? I am not troping hard, thankfully. The vest giveaway is the vest is a giveaway that Paul's a vampire. Indeed, I don't sleep. But sounds like you should DM GM. Radar Echo, may I direct you towards the Spice Must Roll, my entire channel that I used to do, where we used to do it on Saturdays, like a tabletop RPG stuff. So to give you a concept, yeah, I don't know if I have it on have it a link on here. Did I say 1820? When did I say 1820? Oh, 18 to 20. 18 to 20 is what I mean. Ah, fuck you. You can't use what you listen to your ear. It's more that. So I've been doing this, and I was like, okay, I'll look up. So I've been talking to people I know who are professional illustrators in the Star Citizen community, and they've been giving me suggestions and people to talk to. And so I do that. And then I've been also kind of looking up different sources, and I realized pretty quickly that it's like $2,000 to do even like a professional cover, let alone any illustrations. And I'm like, God damn, like, this isn't going to be an expensive hobby. So. Oh, yeah. So Spice Must Roll is on hiatus because the problem about the Spice Must Roll is I would love to be able to pay people to do it, but I don't make enough money for it, and it's not something that I'm, like, it's hard to schedule with people when you don't do that sort of thing when people are doing it for fun, so, yeah. So is 320 planned for, like, September or CitizenCon? We don't know exactly, but, oh yeah, I'll get that here in a moment. Let me finish this thought. So I've been doing that, but also because we're in the middle of a drought, I haven't really been working on, like, I'm going to stop doing lore videos. I'm going to do a lore video this weekend, but this weekend's going to be Starfield lore video. And then I'll pick back up. I'm also working on the complete history of Star Citizen Universe. I'm kind of getting that one done. That'll be done tomorrow, at least on my end. I'll have that written and recorded and then sent off to my editor, Uri, who will start working on the next one. And then I'll be working on the next week. I'll be working on the other two if I can get those done. I'll probably only be able to get one next week done. My Astro work content has been has been weak, and is getting weaker because the masses don't know good content. Effectively, it's more that like interest in Star Citizen in general is down because, as I like to say, this is touch grass season, where people go out and touch grass for quite a while, and it doesn't help that CIG has been effectively plowing ahead with everything they do and refusing to comment or back up any of their own things, because I'm gonna be quite fucking frank, because I don't think I talked about this last week, but it's like the whole idea of selling gear to newbies is stupid. It's bad, and I don't like it. And especially without CIG having the ability to return it, I think it's a bad move. Hey, crypto, blame the internet. Oh yeah, no. So like starting in August, once ISC starts coming back, interest will start popping back up again for Star Citizen. And then through September and then October, interest will get to the peak in October and November, and then it'll kind of go down again. So effectively, like, and I think going forward, unless there's some major content, I'm going to be very frank with y'all about this. CIG is doing a lot of content, and it's a lot of stuff that is sideways expansion. Like, we're probably going to get an in-depth look at the new loading mechanics that they've been implementing for 320. That's specifically for the whole sea, but it's for all ships, like loading timers and stuff like that. I'm sure all of that will get added to 320, and we'll see a lot of these new platforms in Crusader, new missions. Those sorts of things. Of course, we're going to get that kind of stuff, and that'll be great. But we're not going to really see an advancement in Star Citizen until 4.0 comes out. And as of right now, it's hard to tell when 4.0 is going to come out without understanding where server meshing is currently. Like this time last year, we had already had a letter from the chairman talking about how they had successfully done PES, and they'd implemented it, and they'd done the first tests, and they were in the process of now rolling it into the main branch of the game. We haven't had none of that, like zero of that this year. So that doesn't spell good tidings for the idea that 4.0 could make it by the end of the year. Let me see. I think it's more than just AC, though. Oh, no, it is just AC master modes. We haven't seen anything since. They had some updates for like 2 days ago. They had some new updates, so we'll talk about that. Yeah, and the roadmap's not going to get those resources for a bit because it's not the priority of CIG right now. I think we'll see 4.0 before the end of before the end of next year. I think we'll probably see it early to mid, like probably Q1 or Q2 of next year at the current pace. We could see it earlier, but I don't. It's still going to take a while. Like when they implement 4.0, it's going to be 4.0 is going to be testing for 3 months, and then it'll come out and be broken, and it'll require a lot of other things. So. Hey, Loken. Hey, welcome everyone from Loken Stream. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing?
You can take away my spaceship.
Oh, here we go. Spaceship.
Take away my space suit.
Ship.
You can even take away my space lasers.
Ship.
But you can never,
Never.
ever take away my space game.
Loken Plays just resubscribed for 44 months. Hey.
Thank you so much for that 44 months there, Loken. You are a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. This is your fault. You usually recognize. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I was doing Doomer Paul. You came in at Doomer Paul. How you doing, buddy? What were you playing there, Loken? All right, so let's get through some of these things as well, because there's some questions there as well. So is 320 planned for September or CitizenCon? My personal belief is, based off of the current pacing, it could release as early as September, though the likelihood of it coming to the October is still there. We had how many years of 4.0 by the end of the year? True, but the difference is that there's really nothing left, Anarchrin. Like, we're at a stage where there's nothing really blocking 4.0 except for 4.0. It's not like we're sitting in a situation where we need, X technology needs to be invented. No, it's like the technology is just this technology that requires for 4.0. The unlinking the PES or the replication layer from a single server and distributing it across all of the servers and server meshing. That's it. And that's all 4.0 stuff. So. But we always knew that there were going to be loading timers. That was always going to be a factor. Eventually, the loading timers will be the actual NPCs loading on your ship, but you know. The Star Citizen minimum specs need to be upgraded, so I know I can get the game with the low NPC. Here's the thing, Chris. I believe that the specs that work right now, that are in there right now, are still the specs. They also have the what is it called? There's a whole like. There's an entire program they built which tells you what your specs, like what your computer will get based off of other people's computer specs that of like running telemetry data. Yeah, it's called the telemetry page. It's a perfect thing to use. They don't really need to increase the minimum specs. The other problem is that they're in the process of adapting Vulkan, the Vulkan API to Star Citizen. When that fully comes online, like, there's no point in doing a minimum specs now until that fully comes online, because then they have a better understanding, plus server meshing and all these other things. Do you think the new cargo update that supports the whole sea will allow for selling raw ore from cargo ship? Hard to tell. I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see that huge thing. I have a feeling the timers are going to make a lot longer than 1K cargo ship owners consider it. So it may have only thought of how much they can haul and how much load it'll take. Yeah, there's going to be slowing down of trading. What tech do they need in order to enter beta? Well, we need all of the tech that's for 4.0, but you also need dynamic server meshing, You also need the quantum system to be hooked into the mission system. You need to have the quantum system itself functioning for the dynamic economy. You need the new AI system to be put in. You need bounty huntings, the bounty hunting, like basic bounty hunting to be put in. There's still a lot that needs to be done before beta. It's not like huge hurdles. Like once they get over that initial static server meshing hurdle, I don't imagine it'll be a huge time for them to do dynamic meshing, because at that point it's just building tools to be able to spin up and spin down servers. We won't really notice, except for a player cap increase. Probably is really what we'll see at that point. I don't think there'll be any gameplay blockages from it, but I don't think they can go to beta until they can have all that stuff in there. Oh yeah, scanning needs to be updated, which is part of the new systems and data running. Any guess at the release of Squadron 42, maybe? I can tell you right now that I 100% believe that Squadron 42 is going to release in December of 2025. I think CIG is going to announce the release date or the release window, release season at CitizenCon this year. But organization gameplay is another thing that adds in. But like in reality, things like organization gameplay, bounty hunting gameplay, any of those other kind of gameplay aspects are minor. They don't take as much time as fundamental technology that they have to do research and development for. So like the big things that are preventing are server meshing and expanding the what are they called? Expanding the dynamic economy. Because it's kind of there right now, but kind of expanding that out. Release decade, yeah. I do think the CIG wants to release Squadron 42 in October of next year. I think that's when they want it to release. But I think that in reality, it'll probably release. It'll end up getting delayed 6 months, and so they'll say they may come out in sometime in like May of like Invictus of 2025. But you know, anything else can happen, and then it'll be delayed even further. And this isn't a CIG said it, so it's going to be delayed. It's more like this is a video game that's big and complex, and I have not seen a big AAA title of the caliber that Squadron 42 is trying to do that has not had a release date that they missed. Like every one of them has. So I don't think CIG is somehow special because of that. I'm not sure that scanning will actually be anything of a viable profession with dynamic sharding, because any two shards will not be the same, will easily be exploited. I don't think so. The way that they seem to describe it is that the shards themselves aren't really the issue, because eventually they want to pull in everyone into the main three shards. And anything that happens in the shard you're in will happen on all of the other shards if it's like a permanent thing. If it's a non-permanent thing, it's just the shard which you're in. That's fine. And I don't think scanning as a profession, scanning as a profession is the same thing as engineering as a profession. It's just something you do with like larger ships, but yeah. I mean, honestly, Kavion, if Squadron 42 takes until 2030, I don't even know if I'll be playing video games by then. It's 2023. I'll be in my 40s at that point. And I know a lot of you are that age. It's just like, I'm already doing other things that I have more time for. I'll have kids by then, almost certainly. CIG's release dates tend to be said date plus 6 minus 24 months, depending on size of the project. Back to listen to all the updates, because unfortunately I have been unable to fit in any reading. There hasn't been much reading, honestly. We're going to kind of go over the stuff that they've been doing for Arena Commander here in a moment, but that's about it. Thanks. Are they prepared for the polishing, content creation, and lore? I see a lot of engineers and only a few storytellers. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes, I'm sure they do. Non-lethal FPS weapons entertainment mechanics. Both of those are already in production, though, Fishy. They already have restraints for Squadron 42. They've been working on that, which means that they're working on less than lethal weapons for Squadron 42. And they're also working on bounty hunting. We know that. And stealth is just a matter of the overall system of ship gameplay. Kids who be co-pilots. I can't even get my wife to look at Squadron at Star Citizen as a game. So I don't think I can get my kids. They'll take after her when it comes to being fishy and such. Do you think the merge of server meshing team with the engine team is a good sign? No, I said I think that's bad news. My opinion hasn't changed. I still think it's bad news because they mentioned specifically it was done to reduce communication problems. And if they said they were having communication problems, I think there's obviously some issues between the teams in terms of talking about things. So that means there must have been some miscommunications and stuff hasn't been done because of communication. So merging those teams temporarily to get those things functional is probably a sign that there was some miscommunications. And if miscommunications are happening, it means that they're not talking with one another properly. Probably because of time zones or other issues, maybe technical reasons. I don't know the reason why. I don't know. I'm not a member of CIG. But quite frankly, that's just the reality. You need to hop you on the NPC trends and keep me engaged. Honorary CIG member. Can instead of being honorary, can I get paid? Can you? People always say Paul Shilley, Mr. White Knight for CIG. It's like, fuck no. CIG doesn't pay me shit. The most they do is give me ships every so often to give away, which I guess is a form of payment. But it's like, you know, standard practice. I've gotten stuff to give away in the past with other companies as well. But it has definitely not changed my critical opinions on CIG. Oh yeah, fishing gameplay. You mean we already have fishing gameplay there, Radar Echo. We've got tractor beams, so you just can be able to tractor them Boyds out of the water. They give you ships no matter if you want them or not. Yeah, there's the offender, Mr. Sea Daddy, and one you can't get rid of to save your life. So here's my thoughts. Say you scan something a huge ore vein on Shard 23, and that ore vein is on Shard 24. Will it be on 24 or 23 as well? No, because here's the thing. You have to stop thinking of shards as realms or servers. That's not how they're going to be. The shards are going to be eventually North America, EU, Asia, and Australia. There'll be 4 shards that'll be the entire global shards. Now, you can go to any one of those shards, but each of those shards will be unique. And so, yeah, if there is some ore on shard, North America shard, then that should also be on the other ones. But it'll be replicated in the same way as being the, what is it called? The probability, something like that. I forget, remember, like probability curves or something like that. I can't remember the name of the name of it, but there's a name they were using for how the whole system's built out. When the shards are NA, EU, AU, all the issues endemic to the commodity stocks will apply to everything in the game. Mission, locations, availability, shop inventories, mineable salvage weapons. Exactly, yeah. But it's important to note that, like, you won't be in the same place at the same time. Like, 2 people won't necessarily be in the exact same rock, looking at the exact same rock at the exact same place, because it's probability volumes, because how probability volumes work. Things will spawn in the universe based on the probability of them spawning in that area. So if CIG says there's ore in this asteroid belt, it doesn't mean that every single asteroid in that asteroid belt is going to have is going to be the exact same on every shard. It just means that when you get to that shard's going to simulate what the materials are in that asteroid. That may look a little different in another asteroid belt, in another shard in the same asteroid belt, but they're going to have the same amount of material. And eventually, that material will be drained out because you're mining it, and then it'll regen over time. So it doesn't work the way, say, like where if you're scanning an asteroid belt that has a bunch of aluminum in it, every single shard is going to have aluminum in that asteroid belt. But each shard itself is not going to look exactly the same, if that makes sense. Thank you. Probability volumes, yeah. This sounds like a recipe for a whole new universe of invisible asteroid collisions. Not necessarily, because it has nothing to do with the probability volume stuff. Has nothing to do with like how asteroids spawn. It'll be spawned based off of the shard it's in. This is the reason why the shards are all connected under with a replication layer. That's why removing the replication layer is connected to individual shards and going over all of the shards is important because they all have to share the same data. Do you think 320 will drop before CitizenCon, or do you think we might see some Spirit releases either 320 or CitizenCon? We're not going to see Spirit releasing in 320. We'll see the Spirit releasing with at IAE, so November. Basically, what you see on the 320 list is what you're going to get with the 320 list, plus probably some new ships that they're selling. Yes, I do. Let me see if I can pull it up and show y'all. I think I can. I want to do it in a way that doesn't screw up the fact. I don't want to dox myself, for instance. Okay, here we go. It even says, my most favorite ship. It says CIG giveaway, but notice, I can't do shit with it. Let's see, I've got the Spirit Collection. I can gift this if I wanted to. I don't know why I have this one. I think it was one of those things that was given to you. But, like, I can't. Not with this. And I can't even melt it. There's no option for me to melt it. It's just there now. It's not my favorite ship. CIG, it's my CIG appointed favorite ship because I hate that ship. Question for anyone who bought tickets at CitizenCon. Did you get any anything in your hangar to account an invoice? That's a good question. I definitely bought one. So let me go to the very front. It's definitely not in my hangar, but I believe you can go up to hangar log, or there's a place in here I'm trying to see. Is it pledge? No, that's not it. I remember there's a place where you can actually see your account for like the code and stuff like that. Is it under billing? Yeah, yeah. I can see it under building, under order placed. It says events CitizenCon 2953 access ticket. You seem to be under the assumption that CIG is done messing with Paul. Oh yeah, CIG will troll me until the day I die. Or until CIG stops becoming a company, whichever comes first. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's how they show me that they care. Tough love. I've actually put a screenshot of that in my hangar on Twitter before, and multiple CIG members can confirm that it's in my account. So. Your father time. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad. You got a redeemer. Can you fly it? Or just CIG troll. I can fly it. I just never pull it out. It's under building. Paul, as much as it hurts, love the Deemer and rob it of its hateful hold. It's the only way to break the curse. Never. I will Anakin Skywalker this. All right, I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Weapons free, y'all.
It was at this moment.
Oh yeah, we're doing that. Mute your.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah, if you're watching this YouTube, mute it for a few minutes and talk about.
2 words. Distress bacon. 2 words. Distress 2 words. Distress bacon.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
I'm flying. I'm pilot.
Yes. 2 words. Distress bacon.
I'm flying. I'm pilot. Good news, everyone. I'm flying.
Stop it.
I'm pilot.
Stop it. No more fun.
Good news,
No more fun, chat.
everyone.
Chaos. You know, it will never like stop being funny that, as far as I know, I'm not much of a Final Fantasy fan, so you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But as far as I know, Final Fantasy, one of the major reoccurring villains in Final Fantasy is Chaos. And that tickles me so fucking much. I might be wrong. Those of you who know this better than I can tell me. Because if that's true, my only thought is, when can we get the 40K? And my 40K Final Fantasy? Please? Please, you know you want to do it, Square. Grimdark Fantasy. Final Grimdark. Are you planning on doing anything else with these pub coins? Otherwise, chat explosion today. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do. I'll figure out something to do it eventually. Star Citizen is the Final Fantasy. All right, I'm also going to say this one. For those who are in the know, CIG, this would make something like this would make Sherry very happy. But CIG, this is one of my requests. Please, please make a livery for the Gladius that looks like this. Please, please. I don't know what I have to do this, but please, this. Come on. It just popped in my brain. all of the Navy nerds will be like yes, and everyone who knows the true sci-fi origins of this will go yes. Skull Squadron. You know you want to do it. I can't do that small, but I might actually pick up the Gladiuses and do them in the Skull Squadron style. If I can find some transfers for that. When it's at the 1/100 in, fuck yes, I'll do it in that 1/100. Hands down. That'll be the first thing I do. I'll figure out, I will work my ass off to make that thing work. Roy Fokker's, it's Roy Fokker, right? What's his name? Roy Fokker's Gladius. All right, so it's been enough time for me to go. All right, this stream is sponsored by Factor. Factor Meals is a service that sends you meals directly to your door. You pay them. You can actually choose what meals you want to get every week. They have a rotation. It works just kind of like frozen dinners, but they don't actually freeze. They're actually just chilled. You put them in your refrigerator. They're really good. They're tasty, they're filling, and they're a fantastic overall service for you to try. If you haven't tried Factor before, you can use my code, which is Factor SE43712 for checkout to get 50% off of your first box. That's right, 50% off of your first box. And when you do so, I get a little credit for it. You know, that's why we have here. Goal is to get 40. But yeah, make sure you do that if you chance to. They reached out and this is not the first time we've been sponsored by them. We've been sponsored by them in the past. They reached out and said, "Hey, you want to do it again?" I'm like, "Yes, it's good." So. I like this so much about the company. Yeah, I wish. I want the Skull Squadron motif on a Super Hornet. Super Hornet would work. I think it works better in terms of like it's the design of the Skull Squadron. A, because of the FA-18 original F-18. Why am I blanking on it? The original F-18 kind of style and design, plus also like the callback to Macross because it looks kind of similar. It would make sense on the Gladius. I think it makes the most sense. Unfortunately, unless there's an official collaboration, there won't be anything actually like that. Well, the problem is that Macross doesn't own that style because they literally stole it from the U.S. Navy. That's the original Skull Squadrons was not Skull Squadron, but that livery is an actual livery. It was used in the U.S. Navy. Oh, F-14, right? It was not F-18, it was F-14. It was the original one. I believe it was the VF, whatever ones, like the experimental version that had that livery. The Jolly Rogers, yeah. VF-84, yeah. The Fighting 84, yeah. Nicknamed the Jolly Rogers, based out of NAS Oceana. It took the number, but not the lineage, of the VF-84, the Wolfgang, and an insignia on the VF-61 Jolly Rogers. With VX. Well, isn't VF the VF stands for it's their version of Squadron, right? It's the Navy's version of Squadron's tags. Hey, Renneman. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was trying to say, Moriar, is that if it's originally part of a U.S., any kind of U.S. military, as long as you don't put any official ranks or official symbols, and I think you can still even do that. It's just like if as long as it's something that's done by the U.S. military, it's considered effectively public domain, which is why Macross got away with it. Carrier Fighter Squadron, yeah. This is telling me that the original ones were the VF-61. Oh no, VF-17. Originally established as VF-17 on the 1st of January 1943, then redesignated as VF-5B on 15th November 1946, redesigned as VF-61 on July 28th, 1948, was de-established in 15th of April 1959. It was the first Navy squadron to be designated VF-17 out of Norfolk. It was the second Navy fighter squadron to receive the F4U-1 Corsair. So it's the second Corsair squadron. Blackburn wanted the squadron to have a practical theme to match the F4U Corsair's designation. Hence, the skull and crossbones were chosen. I've changed my mind. Give me the Jolly Roger skin for that skin, but for the Corsair. I hate that place. I can't hate Norfolk too much. I don't know. My wife wasn't at Virginia. Was there? She was at Virginia Beach. My wife was. She was born in Indiana, but she was raised for much of her young life in Virginia Beach. So, when her father was still in the service. So, Bounty 2.0 for 3.1. Do you think? I don't think so. I don't think so. I still wouldn't try to be associated with anything to do with real life warfare. Eh.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Wahoo 127 just resubscribed for 22 months. Hi Paul.
Thank you for that 22 months of support. Almost 2 years, Wahoo. You're a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very neat pedestrian. This is your fault. You're the reason for drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Someone was saying that if if you're stationed in Norfolk, you get to the place in Virginia Beach. Okay, so my father-in-law may have been at Norfolk then. I don't think the Skull and Bones Squadron, the Jolly Rogers, I don't think they still exist. They disbanded in 1995. Oh, there is one, but it's Squadron 103. I don't think they still have those. Oh, they do. Yeah, they're still in the Super Hornets. Never goes far to associate themselves with any contemporary military force. Well, this would be a callback to like a science fiction history, because like if you know Macross / Robotech, you know Macross / Robotech, and you know, come on, baby, like iconic. It's like doing like the shark's teeth with the flying tigers and stuff like that. Those are all or like there's lots of like iconic livery. And I know Chris Roberts is a huge aviation buff, so I use Macross skin Roy Fockers when we fly Hornet and DCS. Yeah, that's what we were talking about is I want the Macross Roy Fokker skin for or a similarity, something that's similar for the Gladius. Yeah, so this is what I'm just found out is it's VF 103, VFA 103. They're currently using FA-18 Fs. But it's in the same, it looks like it's the same naval base station as the Oh, yeah, I mean, like the skull and crossbones on a black tail with a white stripe on top or a yellow stripe on top. You can change the stripes and kind of other things. That is what the iconic thing is. You can do everything. You can change everything else. You can, artify that up. But that is an iconic element of the Roy Fokker's Skull Squadron, and of course it comes from that stuff. I'm sure they did. It's become iconic in terms of aviation history, I want to say, or even like that. You show that image, someone, I'd say 1 in 10 people will recognize the image of the F-14 or the F-18s with that livery.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No BBUs.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Sherry Katsune just resubscribed for 13 months. Pub cheers, good day to everyone.
Thank you so much for that 13 months there, Shiori. You are a very important pub, a very impressive preserving pedestrian. This is for all your reason for drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat. Yeah, shots and cheers. Yeah, they use this playing card suites, but I think they actually had one of the squadrons was the Skull and Crossbones. I can't remember which one though it was though. Yeah, I think the Jolly Roger Squadron was featured in the Final Countdown, I believe. That movie about the carrier that was sent back to World War II, the modern super carrier that was sent back to World War II, and figured out that they traveled back in time and were going to stop the attack on Pearl Harbor. So we're talking about leaks for 320 patch notes. And it's not much because they're still only doing arena commander builds. But let me go over everything we know. So we know that there is a FPS horde mode that's being tested. There is Theaters of War is being worked on. It's not playable, but it's being worked on behind the scenes. There's been some stuff that's been leaked out. We know that they're doing a new they're trying to get a Evocati build for a new build. They're also doing another Master Modes test. And that one apparently failed a couple days ago. So. I mean, I would love a killer whale livery for the 600i. That's amazing. And it's also a callback to Jumptown. For those of you who don't know, the killer whale, the Orca build, was an absolute beast at the original Jumptown. That alongside the Arrow. The Arrow would be another good one to have the Jolly Roger skin, the Roy Fokker skin. UN Spacey, I love it. Yeah, it looks great. It would look hot in a Gladius. I think the Arrow would look good on it too. Ooh, a Saber would look good on it too. Yeah. We have a red arrow, liveried arrow in the office. There we go. Yeah, it's a custom paint job for the 1/100. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, 320 has been mostly build failed, but there has been images and leaks of the whole sea in the builds. So, you know, that's good. The Macross Missile Massacres, I love them. Shinobi, I love them. To remember, yeah, the arrow would actually, because it's got the two back tails. I don't know what those are called. The ailerons. I don't know what the heck they're called. That would be good. Let's see, the saber. That does too, because if it's two back, and then of course the Gladius. The Gladius does as well. I think the Gladius would look the best because of the angles of its back tails are much more prominent, and it already has that kind of profile. So vertical stabilizers, yeah. I think the Gladius looks the most like an F-18. Hey, Sharkbite. Oh, no, I'm never going to get in DCS. I don't have that kind of money. I already spent too much money on plastic crack. Nomad would look weird having a Jolly Roger skin on it like that. You say that, Nightcob, but you know, I've already said this. I've put barely any money into Star Citizen of my personal money. I think maybe $2,000 over the course of 9 years as a backer. Still a lot of money, but it's like 200 something a year maximum. And that's considering that like 3 of them are huge value ships. We do need a Winnebago skin on the Nomad and one for the for the cutter. But because I haven't purchased anything for myself and for so long, like that number is going to keep dragging out as CIG continues to drag out the game. Perks of being a shill for CIG? Yes, exactly. That's exactly the case. I've changed my mind again, by the way. For some reason, when I looked for Gladius, the Gladiator showed up, and I'm like, no, the Gladiator would look the best. Hands down, the Gladiator would look the best with a Jolly Roger skin. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. UPS cutter skin? Yeah. There's a little gremlin, yeah. Any skin? Yeah, the Gladiator needs any skin. But I mean, like, it's everything about it looks so perfect for that. All right. So, like I said, this is probably not going to be too long because there's nothing really big to read off. We're just mostly just chilling. If you have any questions about Star Citizen lore, or, you know, any kind of things you want to discuss, let me know. But the only other thing I was going to talk about is that Fight or Flight has been confirmed for CitizenCon. For those of you who don't know what Fight or Flight is, it is the FPS, not the FPS, the dogfighting competition that Esports runs. And they've been working with CIG, so now the top 4 teams in Fight or Flight are going to have their own tournament at CitizenCon this year. So that's pretty cool to see for them kind of doing that stuff. So you got some esports at CitizenCon. That was the other major thing. It is content dump. It is content drought. You're in the desert of content right now. Can we discuss anything? Can you tell me where I have the best to spend my money? I've been mostly buying lottery tickets. Yeah, you can probably invest. I can't give you investment advice, but I definitely suggest investments in the stock market and stuff like that. Long-term investments might probably be the best. Probably be better than the lottery tickets. Do you think that they'll actually rework the economy for the whole seat? No. I think they'll make some changes, and obviously they're going to be making some changes with the loading system, because the new loading system is designed for the whole sea, but it's also all of the ships are going to get it because it's just how the loading is going to work in the future. But I don't think we're going to see a massive change in the economy, other than the fact that they have to start supporting station-to-station economy dumps. So, question: ready to replace global chat in game? What do you mean by that? Like I'm down for GTA style radio shows and like broadcasts, like simulating the Spectrum broadcast stuff that they have, you know. So that's why they stretched out CitizenCon. I don't think it's that. I've seen enough esports, even live, to know that esports doesn't take, especially in person, doesn't take that long. I think they mean local chat of limited range instead of general. I am okay with changing how chat works to be more in verse, where it's just Spectrum chat. Because for those who don't know, the in-universe equivalent of the internet is called Spectrum, which is why they called their bespoke forums and chat system Spectrum, because it's supposed to connect in. But having a Spectrum chat for a local area makes a lot of sense. Having to like go into that to do that would make sense as well. Yeah, and have it go down when the comm array goes down. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of global chat, no. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of removing global chat in general. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see stretched out CitizenCon because of Fight or Flight. I think they just stretched out CitizenCon because they're going to be talking about Squadron 42. Honestly. It's like the ship chat they showed and running in Squadron 42 Mobiglass. Yeah. The thing I wanted in chat is mute. The power to mute these asshats in the verse. They're doing it for like VoIP, but why can't we do it for chat system as well? I highly doubt we're going to see 2 days of Pyro sound design panels or Pyro of just 4.0 discussions. That just doesn't seem right. Do you think they should add programmable radios? What do you mean programmable radios? like where you can choose which radio system you're looking at. Possibly for like voice chat, maybe, but I can see that being a disaster as well. I mean, we already kind of have codec call frequencies with our like being able to hail people through private messaging and stuff like that. I also don't see how that would backfire if you could mute people in chat, because people could still do direct communications with you, and if they've muted somebody who's doing direct communications with them, then they're already fucked. Like, you got to remember that wishful thinking we're going to see anything for Squadron 42. I don't think so, T-Love. I think a lot of the case, and let me lay this out, because this is the important part. You can throw everything else away from what we've seen in the past about Squadron 42 being removed from the store, about multiple mentions of vertical slices, the fact that CitizenCon was announced in December of last year as to where it was, which usually doesn't happen. There are many different little signals that CIG is going to be doing something around Squadron 42 for CitizenCon and 2-day CitizenCon. But the one thing that is consistent that's been going on is that CIG is doing polish passes on several aspects of the game. And there are two possibilities. Possibility one is that CIG is finishing up a lot more of the game than people realize. And they're getting to the point where they're trying to optimize and polish aspects of the game that are done. Or CIG is filled with morons who have been optimizing aspects of the game that they'll have to break later, and it just makes no sense. I know a lot of people are like, CIG is filled with morons, but it's like, CIG has not been indicated that they're filled with that level of of idiocy. When it comes to Squadron 42, because one of the things we'll see a lot is with Star Citizen, CIG definitely does do polish passes. They definitely do code corrections and those sorts of things, and bugs obviously, but like a lot of polish passes because they have to release it to the public. Squadron 42 isn't going to be released to the public until they're done with it. So there's no reason for them to do polish passes and other aspects of the game unless they're done. Unless they're no longer going to be working on it beyond bug fixing and those sorts of things. That's the problem of the balance here, is that's what they're, when you hear people like me say, it sounds really fucking weird that they're polishing and doing those sorts of things in the Squadron 42 monthly reports. It's because that's the factor. No one does that. Because if you polish with a typical game like this and then you have to go back and fix it or change it, then you've broken everything you've done and you've wasted all the time you've been working on it. New here, just to see what we're talking about. Welcome to the office hours. This is where we just kind of hang out and talk about Star Citizen. We're in the middle of a content drought, but this is me justifying why I think that Squadron 42 is going to be announced, and they'll be discussing Squadron 42 stuff at CitizenCon this year. Not a lot, but yeah. Let me put it this way. Last update, the last monthly report, they also they're working on the new character creator, and they've also adapted the new hair tech into NPCs and the character creation as well. So. I'm not saying I'm right. I've been wrong before, and I'll probably be wrong in the future. There's just so many flags that are being thrown out by CIG saying that they're going to do something for Squadron, or doing something at CitizenCon, and that Squadron's going to be part of it. Banu capital ship? You mean the Banu merchantman? No. Last we heard, the Banu merchantman is not in production and will not be in production until after the Polaris, minimum. Basically, the thing to remember is that CIG works on style guides. So they'll work on a style guide for a ship. So in this case, for Star Citizen, or for the Banu Merchantman's case, they would work on the Banu Merchantman to put a style guide together to then do other Banu ships. But there isn't any other planned Banu ships that they have. So there's no reason to do the Banu Merchantman right now, other than they want to get it done. So instead, they're working on the Polaris, because the team that was originally working on the Banu Merchantman, like most of them, left the company. They left to work for another place. I don't think they're going to be releasing Squadron 42 this year. Not at all. There's nothing that indicates that Squadron 42 is going to be finished this year. There is heavy indications that Squadron 42 may be entering a beta phase, but they won't fucking tell us when they do. They'll just, because it's not going to be like you can play the beta. It's like the beta will be done internally, and then they got to spend 6 months to a year polishing the shit out of it. Because once that's done, then they have to make sure it's fun, they make sure the levels make sense, and there's a lot of work that has to go into the game to make it function. So, hey, Space Goat. But the Polaris makes more sense because CIG is using the Polaris as the style guide for large RSI ships. They've got the Galaxy, and they also have the Perseus, which are both large RSI ships that will use the same style as the Polaris. So they have to, if they're building out the style guide with the Polaris, then they can use that in the future. But the BMM just has no other use. So there's a lot more utility in doing the Polaris than the BMM right now. And the Orion, yeah. So 2025, yes. I 100% believe that Squadron 42 is going to release in 2025. End of 2025. I do think that CIG will announce that that Squadron 42 is going to be, that they want to have it released next year at CitizenCon, but I think that'll be delayed. And again, this is not, her CIG bad at dates. It's that every single AAA title of any kind of scope that Squadron 42 is going for that is released in the last 5 years has had at least one, if not multiple, delays. Cyberpunk 2077, Starfield, I guess maybe not Final Fantasy. The most recent Final Fantasy hasn't been delayed, as far as I know. It might have been, but I don't remember it even being announced and then just coming out. You'll never see Squadron in the Evocati. Squadron will never be Evocati'd. No player is going to play Squadron outside of a controlled demo at an event. We still can't even swim yet. That's being worked on in Squadron 42 right now, though. Out of season comment. Having an optional scary mission event would be awesome, like trying to hunt down an alien that killed the station crew. 100% Scorched Hamster. I've always said that Star Citizen is a secret horror game and no one realizes it yet, but they have to get stuff done which they haven't done yet. And ropes, yeah. Effectively, what the important part to point out of what is finished with Squadron 42 is level design is wrapping up for a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of level designs that are completely finished. The cinematics are done, or they're reaching to the point of being done. And a lot of the ancillary things like save game states, collectibles, Galactopedia stuff, all of those are finished as well and are in like polish phases. So a lot of the cinematic motion capture stuff is being polished. Sometimes they're actually doing giant lists of very specific lines they need to recapture. They've had John Rice Davies come in and redo entire scenes for recapture, for reshoots for Squadron 42. And you don't do that unless you already have an idea of what you missed and what you need to fill in. So. I don't know what you keep saying. Character is gold standard. I don't know what you're talking about, T-Love. What are you talking about? Character is gold standard. I've heard they use the term gold standard used for ships, but I've never heard the gold standard used for characters. Does Mark Hamill get a laser sword to kill Van Duel in Squadron 42? I can't tell you. Definitely. Actor status is being worked on and armor penetration. I would say the only thing that seems to be a little off is that a lot of these indications, a lot of these tips are like CIG's wrapping up Squadron, but then they come out and say armor is still a ways away. It's like, what? That's kind of critical for Squadron 42, so... I believe they mentioned that the actor status system is being worked on too, like at the version 2. EVA 2.0 is finished for Squadron. T-Love. It's actually it's in the process of being ported to Star Citizen. As is the like parkour system stuff. Status effects, the actor status 2.0 isn't completely finished yet, but they've started to mention, like for instance, they're using the EVA system that they developed. They're changing how positioning works for players. So like right now, how you go prone is going to change to be using the new EVA system. They're in that process for Star Citizen for doing that too. Fluid animations is already being worked on. They've completely redone the water effects for Squadron. Like, look at like Squadron 42 monthly report. I just released it last week. You can like listen through it. Like a lot of the stuff you're talking about is being worked on if not finished, or wrapped up. Can't they fake armor in Squadron 42 like they do now in Star Citizen? They could, but I don't think they would. I don't think they'll say they're like, just like a lot of aspects of Squadron 42, they're never going to say it's done. They'll say it's polishing. And that's when you know that there's in a position where it's almost finished. But I think Squadron 42 is a lot closer than people realize. But I also think that CIG is overestimating how long it's going to take to polish it. Because last we heard, Squadron 42 is a 40-hour experience. 20 hours if you just play the campaign, but 40 hours if you do all of the side missions. So if that's still the ballpark that they're looking at, 15 to 20 hours, between 15 and like say 35 and 40 hours. That's a lot of play space. That's a lot of ways that people can accomplish a mission. That's a lot of testing. For the Perseus, airburst rounds would be awesome. I think they're working on flak rounds. Flak rounds is something they've been working on right now. And he was an alien PC. Sorry, I'm slightly out of the loop. Sort of. They've been working on Boids. So Boyd's is birds and fish and other things like that. They did some initial testing on them, and now they're charging forward on getting those done. To the point where it was mentioned in the lore monthly report, the quarterly lore Q&A, they mentioned Boyd's, which tells me that whenever the lore team is talking, because they choose the questions they answer, when they start choosing questions and say, Boyd's, take a look for them, it means that they've wrapped up a bunch of writing for that system. So like Boyd's is something that's an active development and possibly finished development or near finished development. There has been multiple mentions of a dog in Squadron 42, which has animations and behavior. There's been multiple mentions of Squadron 42 having multiple creatures which are finished. Like, Squadron 42 is going to have things that we don't see. Based off of what I've been seeing, like in the monthly reports, there are more things than you realize in Squadron. Will Squadron 42 compete with Starfield? It's entirely a different genre. That's like asking if Breath of the Wild will compete with God of War. They're not even in the same genre. They're both single-player games, but God of War is a scripted cinematic experience, which is based around specific aspects and story-driven. And God of War and Breath of the Wild is an open RPG. Like, I don't think Squadron 42 is going to play like Starfield in any way, shape, or form. But Squadron 42 is also not an open world. It's not an open world game. It's think of it more like Mass Effect. I mean, it's Wing Commander. You play the original Wing Commander, but you can think of it something like Mass Effect. You're a soldier. You go out and you do your missions, and you come back. And you have options of how you accomplish those missions, and like how you approach those missions. But you can't just like leave the star system. Don't the weapons fellas talk about various types of ammunition for FPS weapons? And there's anything on that recently? Nothing recently that, as far as I know. And how many ships will need to be brought to gold standard 2? As far as I understand, I don't think there's going to be many ships you can operate in Squadron 42, which will so this reduces the number of gold standards they actually need. But hey, Luna, how you doing? Hi-yo, happy Thursday, AstroPub and chat. Paul, painting my fat halfling Blood Bowl party currently. Hope your Warhammer is going well this summer. It is good. I have done anything. I have completely not done any Warhammer stuff since the summer started because I've been doing content and I've been doing writing. Because for those of you who don't know, I've been getting back into creative writing because the muse hit me and I said, screw it, I'm going to do it. For fun, not for profit. Maybe for profit, I don't know, but for fun. So I'm doing what's a web novel, where I'm going to be doing a serialized release of a story, and if it gets enough traction, hopefully I can convince somebody to pick it up and turn it into more of a volume form. Part of the inspiration is because The Martian did that. For those of you who don't know, that's how The Martian was written. It was written as a week-to-week, month-to-month serialized story that he posted that Andy Weir posted on his website. So they didn't screw your murder clowns. They deleted your murder clowns. I have played a little bit of 40K, 10th edition. I played one game with it with my wife. We'll be playing it again, but she's not sleeping well recently, so it's hard to get her to, like, she gets done with work and she just veggies and then passes out and that kind of stuff. So when she's in a better space, then we can play a little bit. I might go out on Fridays for free play to play some 10th edition, but it's hard to say. Question: What do you think will happen with Miss Universe in the 30th century? I think they'll let all the lovely people of the universe compete. You have a tool I may be interested in testing. Is that an innuendo, shark bite? Okay, I've had a glass of wine or two. Full disclosure. Hey, we get to see Tipsy Luna. I'm down for Tipsy Luna. 1 second. I'll show you one of the last thing I did was learn how to edge highlight. And I'm really proud of how this turned out. These are probably my best boys in terms of like my best models I've ever done. What chapter? They're my custom chapter. I'm doing a custom chapter called the Raven's Eye. They're kind of like a Norse themed, so like a Space Wolves successor sort of thing. How much do you think the BMM will go for in price at IAE? Hard to tell. Probably stay the same price. No, an actually writing tool? Let me know. I know there's plenty of tools out there. I've just been using Google Drive. But I've heard a couple of tools that exist for like helping organize your writing and stuff like that. Let me pull that up real quickly. Probably a bad idea. So as of right now, I have on Google Drive, I have 20 pages written. And currently, I have 11,000 words. I've been told, based off of my research, that most novels are between 60 and 120,000 words. And I'm not even done with chapter 1. I'm like, this is going to be a long thing. Yeah. It's basically an interview software that asks you questions about character setting and then organizes it. You can feel free to send it to me if it's free. Send me the link to it. I'll take a check it out. Do you think there'll ever be in movies created purely by AI? Eventually, but not now. The tools and techniques that are available just aren't there yet. It has the capability of integrating GPT for editing, outline, summary, and drafting. I'm not too keen on that one, but. Oh, you made it yourself. Okay, I thought it was just a tool you had, you knew about. And take a look at it. Good night, Darsh. All right, chat. We've been doing for about an hour and 40 minutes. I'm going to do this again because I'm bad at doing this. But we are sponsored by Factor. Make sure you check out the code !Factor in chat to get the link. But to get 50% off of your first box with Factor, Factor is a fantastic service that gets you food directly shipped to your door on a weekly basis. You get to choose however much or little you want, and it's great for people who, if you get like me, get absolutely wiped after work, and you just don't have the time or the energy to cook dinner. Or you always go out for lunch and you just don't want to go out for lunch. You always forget to pack lunch for you. Well, you can get Factor, and basically it's good food that it's healthy and nutritious. You can set your own, what you want it to have for it. And it takes 2 minutes to make. You get it once a week, you put it in your fridge, you pop it in your microwave, you hit 2 minutes and you're done. Yeah, proper meals with veggies, protein. It's perfect. You can set it up so if you are you vegan, it have vegan options. They have vegetarian options. They have paleo options. They have keto options. They have options for like losing weight or for healthy eating. There's so many different options they have. So it's not just frozen entries that never got frozen. They're kind of like frozen dinners, but the quality is much higher. I would put the quality of the food that you get from Factor on par with the quality of food you would get from like a Denny's or like an Applebee's. You're gonna get that quality of food. Nothing like fantastic. It's not the best food you've ever eaten, but you're getting it to your home that you can cook at your own leisure at the push of a button, basically. It's really good. I know some people who freeze them as well, and so they can use them like that, but it's better than Denny's. I would say Applebee's is quality. But I'm talking about like that kind of mid-range diner market. 100% it's better than your pepperoni pizza Hot Pockets. When I've eaten Factor fills me. As a meal, I eat it, I'm done, and I'm filled. Like I feel good after eating it. I've never felt good after eating a Hot Pocket. They're proportion meals that aren't bland. Exactly. Better than Tostitos? Yes, better than Tostitos. I've lost 25 pounds sticking with it. Like I can tell you, I know multiple people in the chat already have it. If you haven't checked it out, and this sounds at all interesting to you, check it out. Again, you get your first box for 50% off when you use the code. And you can cancel it. I've canceled Factor in the past before because I'm like, hey, I can't afford it or whatever. I would still be using it regularly if I had enough budget for it. But I still have my account. Like later in the stream, we're gonna kind of order and I'll show you how easy it is. But if you haven't done it, make an account, use my code. You get 50% off. You can try the whole thing for a week, and if you don't like it, you can stop. But I can guarantee you'll enjoy it. All right, I'll be right back, y'all. And I've turned everything back on. Mute yourself if you're on YouTube because this is going to get loud. Be right back.
Good news, everyone.
It was at this moment
Good
that he
news,
knew
everyone.
he fucked up.
I'm fly. I'm pilot, everyone.
2 words. Distress bacon.
Yes, shit, I'm out.
I'm fly. I'm pilot.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I show up and Deepa's doing 11 months.
2 words.
Ooh, the food.
Distress bacon.
Let's see if chat's losing its mind. Yeah, chat's losing its mind. Stop it, chat. Stop it. Stop it. How you doing, Deepa? Thank you for that 11 months of support on YouTube.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
YouTube chat encourages us.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Did a Google about the Lodas. It's from The Expanse. Fantastic series. It's getting to the point where a lot of people don't know The Expanse is a good television series because it got taken off the air and they thrown on to Amazon, and they finished the entire season. They finished the entire series. I've heard that the last season, I haven't watched last season, but I've heard the last season is good, but it was kind of disappointing. But for those of you who don't know, it's based off of a series of books, and basically the series did all of the seasons, like all of the books, and then the last 3 books of the series has a time jump for it's like 10 or 20 years in the future. Super short. I mean, the problem is that like the actual last book is pretty short, because a lot of the book is dealing with the consequences of the previous book. It's really like the last 2 books of Before the Time Skip are one book, and a lot of the stuff that made the season before the last season good is just basically about like wrapping up all the stuff that happened in the first one. Like the last book is super action packed and has a lot of like geopolitical or stellar political influences. It's much more big scale compared to the previous book before that, which is super small scale. The book suffer a bit from the Game of Thrones ending dilemma. So many threads building up, it's hard to conclude it well. Well, this is where I explain to you that both of the writers of the Expanse books were protégés of George R.R. Martin and actually worked on the Game of Thrones writing team for the TV series. So that's why it kind of feels like Game of Thrones in space and has some of the same problems. I went back and read, because I have the first Game of Thrones book, or the first Song of Ice and Fire book. And I went back and read a couple of the chapters when I started. For those of you who don't know, I am the kind of person who, when they get into something, they heavily research everything. I decided that I was going to watch Vinland Saga, which recently came out. Season 2 recently came out. And I decided that before I watched Vinland Saga Season 1, I basically spoiled myself on everything that was going to happen in Vinland Saga beforehand, because I'm the kind of person who looks at the end of the movie and then wants to see the progression. I believe it's the journey, not the end. And some cases, I think that spoils you. I think there are some movies that are better, and TV shows and stuff like that, that's better that you don't know the ending. But a lot of them are pretty formulaic, or you pretty much get the idea of what's going on based off of the themes and stuff like that. And so that, to tell you that, like that's what I did before watching Season 1. That's the kind of thing I do for everything I do. I try to do a lot of research and I kind of get into it. I talk my wife's ear off when I talk about some of these things, 'cause she's like, So I feel like a kid when I do that. I don't know if I'm OCD, because there's some movies and TV shows, if someone went on to me and said, don't look up the ending, just watch the movie. Don't look up anything about the movie, just watch the movie. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. It's that I don't trust the internet. So if the internet like it says it's good, I'm like, cool, I'll watch it, because it's like the internet said Sword Art Online was good. Sword Art Online was good. It's not, you know. And I've seen some in the past where people say, "Oh, this series or this movie sucks," and I watched it. I'm like, "Nah, it's pretty good." Don't look at the end of Dine Darker. So effectively, I went through, when I started getting back into creative writing, I went through and did a bunch of like research, remembered a bunch of my old stuff from college, and I had the ability to. The school that I went to had a writer in residence that every year or every few years, a professional writer would be paid to come live at the campus and teach a class. So I was lucky enough to be able to take classes from a professional writer about writing when I was in college with my wife. Actually, we were dating at the time. But we were both taking the same classes from the same writer, and I will proudly say that both me and my wife were the favorite students of the writer. And she kept getting angry at me because every so often I'd be the favorite student and she'd be the favorite student, and we'd be back and forth like that. I think it was towards the end of the class he realized we were dating. It's like, are you just competing over writing? And we're just like, shut up, we can't compete over anything else. But so I went back and did a bunch of that sort of thing, and so I read the original. I think the original book, the first book was Game of Thrones, I believe. First Song of Ice and Fire, which is why it's called Game of Thrones. And I remember getting to the Khaleesi parts, and I was like, this man doesn't know how to write women. like a lot of this is just like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't sound good at all. And I get why George R.R. Martin is considered a really good writer. He's not a bad writer. And a lot of his ideas are cool, and I know why he's highly regarded. But I also understand that a lot of his writing is in response to tropes that were going on when he was starting to write the books, which was, you know, more of that noble, bright sort of approach to fantasy. And he was just like, no, fuck it, anyone can die in this series because that's how history works. You're the person you think is the main character, they're dead. Moving on to the next one, you know. So, SAO Abridged is SAO Sword Art Online Abridged. It does the biggest problem that it actually is better than the original. It actually fixed all of the problems of the original and made it better. But yeah, that's how we're going to be talking about this for now. Pull up that. Heavily influenced by historical examples, that can be problematic too. Yeah. Like, he did a lot of research, and I know he did a lot of research, but at the same time, I have to say, like, if Game of Thrones is supposed to be the fantasy version of the history of medieval England, I would say it is a worse version of Vinland Saga. Like, Vinland Saga was more authentic to the original, like, time period, and actually uses original, like, people from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, and it feels a lot more authentic, and it feels a lot more real. It's like, come on, how can a mangaka from Japan do better than somebody who speaks English and dealing with the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles? Yeah, we already talked about both of those. They're coming effectively, 320 is been teased that they're going to be coming out with 320 PTU, the Evocati, soon, but it's more Arena Commander stuff. But there are mentions, there have been leaks of both a FPS Horde mode and a Theaters of War being worked on again. As well as CitizenCon, there's Fight or Flight. So the first is going to be an actual video game tournament, an actual esports event at CitizenCon this year. So I've heard good things. I actually watched, I don't think I ever finished this Gun Gale Online, but I watched the first 6 episodes of it. It was good. The Game of Thrones is heavily influenced by history. Was there a lot of brothers and sisters hooking up back in the day? Yes, that is that happen all the damn time. It's the reason why modern royals are super inbred. I'm not even joking. Habsburg chin, yes. You should watch the rest of later episode. Really good come together moment. Oh yeah. I got to the point where they met up in real life. Where the duo met up in real life. It's a cute series. It does Sword Art Online better than Sword Art Online, but it's not made by the same people who did Sword Art Online, so. Yeah, I think the problem with Song of Ice and Fire is that George R.R. Martin was looking, and it's the same problem with The Expanse. They're a little bit better at The Expanse than anything, but George R.R. Martin was looking at the vast political landscape and was falling for the trap of the great man theory of history. And if anyone who's studied history probably has already heard what I just said and winced, but the concept of the great man theory of history is that history is made by generals and kings and queens and presidents and the big powerful people of the world. And the reality is that's not how history works. History can turn on a dime because some dumbass lights himself on fire. It has happened before and it'll happen again. The actual individual people are chaos elements that get injected into political realities and completely fuck up the system. My favorite example of that is World War I. And to tie a little bit into Star Citizen does something similar, which is why I think it does a really good job of telling storytelling better than a lot of other kind of stuff. Yeah, World War I all because of a sandwich. But the favorite example from World War I is it was started because one dude shot the second in, not even the leader, the second in line to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire was shot by a terrorist who just happened to be, I believe, Serbian. That's it. And it gets even crazier when he and his crew tried to assassinate this guy beforehand and failed. And then the guy got away, went to go get a sandwich and a beer, sat outside, and the Archduke showed up in his car, stopped right in front of him, and was able to get out and shoot the Archduke and the Duchess. And this all starts World War I, which then brings World War II, the Cold War, the modern wars in the Middle East, all of that because a dude was shot because of a sandwich. Chaos. And the problem is that Song of Ice and Fire does some of that. One person dying can set off a chain of events that no one is prepared for. Like the Red Wedding is a great example of that. The problem is that it's still a political aspect. We're still talking about big families, large nations, all of these people interacting in even minor families are getting involved. But that's not how that works. Like a peasant revolt in a town could change history. And I think The Expanse does this a little bit better, but still falls into that trap because by the end of the Expanse series, we're talking about interstellar politics, and it's this one crew of the Rocinante that's absolutely affecting everything. And it's more of an adventure story at that point, rather than that kind of more believable, grounded aspect. And but it's not cold cuts. It's just the fact that a man stopped to get a sandwich. Okay, it's two reasons. It's because someone got lost, and because someone stopped to get a sandwich. Those are the two reasons why that happened. But it's not alone. There are thousands of examples of those sorts of events happening across history that affect this huge swath of how people work, because the wrong people or the right people in the wrong place can change that. And Star Citizen actually does a really good job with its narrative. Here's the example: the Tavaran Wars. The first Tavaran War was started because an idiot who was an adventurer, because he got bored of his job working for, I think, Sakura-san, I always blank on them. The big mining company that exists in Star Citizen. They have the big mining platforms, and there are a lot of mining facilities in Hurston, or in that kind of stuff. Shubin, thank you. Shubin, he worked for Shubin, I believe. Might have been working for Hurston, but I think he was working for Shubin at the time. He was bored with his job, so he just left his post, then quit his job, used a ship that he had to go exploring, found a jump point, because he was always wanted to be an explorer, found a jump point, went through the jump point into the Tavaran home system, and then fired a probe at the Tavaran homeworld after knowing that there were there were jump capable, quantum capable ships in the area that he had no idea what they were. He fired a fucking probe at the planet. And even later, he was like, that was probably a mistake, because they have no idea what that probe is. You know? No, it was just a regular probe. But, you know, what would happen if an alien civilization came to Earth, or, fired a probe at Earth, and it landed, I don't know, in, the Pacific Ocean. And we know it was an alien probe. We could track it. How many people would be like, let's go fuck up some aliens? It's a weapon, you know? We do that shit now. What would happen, if you did it with an alien civilization who's dedicated to warfare? This sounds like a default to Star Trek mishap episode, exactly. But I mean, all that the Tavaran needed was an excuse. They needed an excuse for war because they were already overpopulated. They didn't have terraforming technology, so they couldn't get people off the planet, and they'd been in peace for several hundred years. They needed to deal with the resource shortages, and so they needed extra land, but they didn't have the ability to have the land, but they happen to live in the same environment that humans do, so they could just take human planets and then use them for their own purposes. And that's the reason why the Tavaran War started. All because of some dumbass who decided to fire a probe, who didn't follow the proper procedures and just report that he found fucking aliens like he should have, after they had already made first contact with the Xi'an, who had done dumb shit to when we did dumb shit to them too. CIG needs to start a war over a double dog. Yes, they do. But half the US would be calling for blood and arming with enough C4 to blow up a nuclear reactor. About 1/3 of them would be building their own Halo power armor. Yeah. That's my point. It's like CIG does these sorts of things a lot, where one person doing one thing ends up having a massive effect, but it doesn't always have to be one important person. It can just be one random person who happens to fuck up and do something, or do something right, and then changes the course of history. It's not just these big events that are controlled by kings and generals or billionaires or whatever. You know, a small company can fuck everything up. And I think that's one of the reasons why the lore, for me at least, is super fascinating. And this is all for me to say that I think that Song of Ice and Fire isn't as good as I've heard people claim it is, because it doesn't take that into account. And because any character can die at any time, you can't get invested in the characters, and it's harder to like care. You can be very nihilistic about the whole thing to care about the actual outcome. Nothing really, Luna Maria. We didn't have a ton. It was more that 320 seems to be heading towards Evocati soon. There's been a bunch of rumblings about that. The discussion, leaks of Theaters of War being worked on in some of the builds, plus an FPS Horde map and other things like that. I mean, the first contact with the Penny was at the business end of a ship guns. I see a pattern. Yeah, but at least giving that idiot some credit, he stopped shooting after he missed when he realized what he was looking at and immediately contacted the authorities. Vernon Tarr is a moron, but he's probably the best moron in First Contact history. Because the other morons in First Contact history were dumb shits. Paul, you care at first until you realize how it's going to be. Then it's just becoming a rubbernecking, really. The problem is that, and this is going to sound weird, but this is a term that's used only two places that I can tell. One is dating reality shows like The Bachelor, and the other is kind of sort of reality competition shows, and the other is in harem anime, which is you pick your winner, your boy or girl, to win, and you root for that boy or girl to win. That's what George R.R. Martin needed. He needed that dynamic of you pick your best boy or girl to win, and you stick in those camps. And he started developing that a little bit, and then like towards the end of the series, it just sort of falls apart. When will the episode 4 of the full lore coming out, Paul? It should be finished writing and recording on Friday. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be going through and finishing up. I'm at 8 pages of it written, and I try to get it to about 20 pages, so not too far off. Because that's each page is about 2 minutes, so 20 pages means about 40 minutes. So I try to release them at about 40 minutes. We're getting to the point where things are getting kind of dense, so I've got to kind of pull some things apart here. But that should be done and sent off to my editor by this weekend, which means that by next week, my editor should have that done, which means that if you're a Patreon, you'll probably have it by next week. But for everybody else, it'll probably be the first or second week of August. So, wait, The Bachelor is just a live-action harem anime? How did I never see this? How did you not see that? But I'm also going to go beyond that. I'm also going to write and record another episode next week. I'll try to do 2, but I'll probably only get 1. So I'll get that 1 episode done, and then I'll have the episode finished for... so I'll have another episode finished, which will be in the bank. So I'll probably release that, not next week, but probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So like when the episode 4 comes out for everybody else, episode 5 will be available for Patreons, and then episode 5 will be out in September. So you pick your best waifu husbando and root for them. Yeah. Still, the pattern of dumb is there. Yeah. I'd like to remind people that we are currently sponsored by Factor. Let's actually pull up Factor. Let me pull up my Factor account. Boop. We go log in. All right, so let me show this to you. So, right now it's deactivated, but I'll reactivate it. But these are the options that I can get. These are probably the ones I'd be getting. I love the Shredded Choco Bowl. And I do love me the Sour Cream and Chive Chicken is pretty good. I haven't had this one before. That looks pretty good. This one's okay. I'm okay with that one. This one costs a little bit extra, so I probably won't get that one. Garlic, this is okay. It's pretty good. This one's one of Cam's favorites. Garlic herb and chicken breast. It's another big popular one. You can see, like, so this is the kind of things that have, you can see options like Carb Smart, Protein Plus, Keto. You can see top rated, vegan, vegetarian. So you can see all the options that we have here. So I'm going to go back again, reactivate my account. All right, I'm going to be right back, chat. Don't go anywhere. I'll make sure everything's on so you can spam, but got to get this started. All right.
Drugs.
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
You have to be fast, though, because I'm back.
Good news, everyone.
Got one in, real at least, yeah. All right, so let's go back to this. As you can see here, this is going to come in on Monday, July 31st. So it'll be not next week, but the week after next. And then we've got mushroom thighs and wild rice. I might want to do that. I'm definitely not going to do this one because I'm not a big fan of that one. Roasted garlic. Might be pretty good. Ooh, this one's another good one. I like this one. I've got 4 right here. I might not do the fiery beef and chili. I might be chicken thighs and wild rice. Let's see what else they got. Wine style. The vegetarian green chili is okay. The gourmet adds a little additional, so not vegan. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, shredded taco bowl. Out of that one. 2 of those. Thank you. That's it. Love that one. All right, I'm just gonna drop the the fiery beef, and then of course, I'll just drop that one as well. It's a good competition. All right, and we're gonna go save meals. They have seafood options. They do. They have some of them have, you can swap them as well if you want to. With other options, with other protein. There's the Tuscan baked salmon. I'm going to just quickly go through some of them. The artichoke, that's pork chop. Sometimes they have shrimp in here too. A lot of it's chicken though, but you know, and pork. They have the pesto salmon as well. They have two seafood options here. And you can get as many as you want to. Oh, here we go. Romano and black pepper shrimp pasta. So yeah, three seafood options that I can see right off the top of my top of it. Can I save those for meals? You also do add-ons and stuff like that, and it looks like we're good to go. Yeah. There we go. And I'm done. So pretty simple. You can choose that every week as well. You use the code when you check out as well. Exclamation point factor in chat to get that link. You can get a link and you can use the code there and it'll be fine. You like the butter chicken? Okay. If you pick your, I will say reading a bunch of books and stuff like that has made me go, we really need a Star Citizen novel. Like CIG is really falling down by not hiring authors to do novels for them. I mean, I know it might be a little bit extra work, but you know, having someone who approves of it, you know, like the lore team kind of looks over it, make sure it's okay. That would be so much better. I think Star Citizen is a universe that's diverse and interesting, and I'm sure there's plenty of writers who'd like to write in it. And I know CIG has their own writers that like to write in it as well, but you know, I think it's just a shame right now that they don't do that, because there'd be a lot more interest in the verse as a whole if stuff like that happened. Okay, now I'm hungry. That's the point. Maybe you should try to get some meals with Factor. I doubt they'd have a budget for it. Currently, that new office is consuming money, no doubt. I'm sure it is, but I doubt it's consuming so much money that they couldn't hire a writer to do it. Or to pay them in residuals. You know? Pay them in sales. Frontier did a good job of bringing on board writers to do lore and novels back in the glory days of Elite Dangerous. Yeah. And I can guarantee you those writers, we actually had one of them came on the captain's table. I guarantee you that those writers aren't paid a shit ton of money to do that job. They're doing it out of the passion for the universe, and then also they're making a little extra. They're making some money from it as well. But I guarantee you that a lot of it is, you know, some of that stuff. Like the Halo novels, yes. The Halo novels are what got me into the expanded lore of video games in the first place. Like, I did not give a shit about video game stories until I read the Halo novels. And fun fact, that's what got me into, like, full-blown writing and reading books was the Halo novels. Because the first Halo novel came out in 2002, which means I was writing before that. But I wasn't really reading a ton of stuff on my own. I'd read, like, you know, Starship Troopers, and I had a couple of book series that I'd picked up by accident, mostly science fiction stuff. So, Paul, Bounty Hunting 2.0, is there evidence that God Marker was going to be going away with it? Yes, I believe that is the case. Lore Master origin story. See, that's the secret. I'm actually writing a book so that when CIG is like, we need authors, I can be like, give it to me. Give it to me. That'll never happen. My fucking wildest dreams that'll happen, but no. Lead novels are awesome, made me love the universe even more. Yeah. And the fact of, like, for instance, off the top of my head, this is something that I've, since I've gotten back into writing, is something I've been thinking about doing for a lark, in terms of like writing like a fan fiction. There's the story of the original Squadron 42. So the Squadron 42 that actually became famous was a penal squadron. They were a bunch of criminals during the Second Tavaran War. They had signed up to fight for the war, and they had disobeyed orders. And so because they disobeyed orders, they instead of getting thrown in jail or killed, they needed all the resources they could. So they put them into one squadron. And this one commander realized that these were actually pretty good pilots. Like, they were pretty good, like, at what they did. They just didn't work well within military structure. So she completely redesigned how to order these people. Instead of giving them specific tasks to do in a specific order, she gave them a general task: attack this convoy, defend this carrier, and let them do everything on their own. They didn't have to go with wingmen or anything else like that. They can just go on their own. And that works so well that it saved the UEE. So Squadron 42 went from a bunch of like political outsiders to being the heroes of the Mezzers, because they destroyed the Tavaran fleet at the Battle of Centauri. Why wouldn't it happen? You already know Star Citizen lore. I'm not a published author, so it would have to be very complicated, because I don't know that universe. So it's Ace Combat 7. Yeah, the Squadron 42. The story of the original Squadron 42 is Ace Combat, the story of Ace Combat 7. I am not even joking. And Ace Combat 7 hadn't come out by the time that lore was written. So I'm like, fuck it. Just write that story. That story is fascinating. The idea of doing the pilots of the original Squadron 42. I've always, like, that idea has bounced around in my head about doing a story about effectively a bunch of ace fighter pilots who have attitudes and end up with the help of this new commander doing really well and like learning to love their jobs more and becoming invested, and the Dirty Dozen, yeah, and saving the UEE, and then after they save the UEE, they get silenced because they're all anti-UEE. They're all anti-Mezzer political, like they don't like the Mezzers. And so, like, you know, end up having to like go on the run or get killed or whatever. So I'm a tomboy jet mechanic. Like I have thought that if you were going to make a prequel to Squadron 42, you would just take the plot of Ace Combat 7 and run with that. All right, y'all. Let's see something real quick. Do. Perfect. What do you do mostly? What do you play mostly in Star Citizen? In terms of ships, I mostly use the or like a gameplay. I mostly do trading. I do smuggling. That's going to be my long-term gameplay thing is smuggling. The other thing I've been doing with groups is we've been doing our lore expeditions. We go out and kind of shoot NPCs and ruined outposts and try to look for the old artifacts. So where are we at? How's it going? Hey, Dark Spike. We're just kind of wrapping it up here. We're kind of in the lull period of Star Citizen information. So this has mostly just been kind of a hangout and stream stuff. We kind of talked about what information there has been, but hey, Woom. Yeah. Feel free to ask questions, Star Citizen news, lore, my own opinions. Feel free to let me know. Because we're kind of on the back slope here. I want to capture a bunch of people on my 890 and make them play games on ship, like swimming and basketball competitions. And every loser dies. You want to do Squid Games on your thing? I like just hanging out. Hey. But yeah. So those of course, the other thing to remember, y'all, is that this Saturday, I'm going to be releasing a primer on all of the lore, everything we know about the settled systems of Starfield. I'll be trying to do a little bit more lore outside of Star Citizen here and there. And for those of you who are like, what? That's unheard of, Paul. I actually did it for Cyberpunk and for Anthem and for New World and a couple of other ones as well. I've done lore videos on other properties, multiple lore videos. It did okay, but. Will the C1 replace your Cutlass black for smuggling release? Probably not. Not unless it's a significant advantage. I think it's actually probably not a good advantage because it's too wide, but... Plans on Marathon lore coverage? I mean, I definitely... Marathon, like the game Marathon. Possibly. I'm a big fan of the original Marathon. Durandal and... the Bobs and all of that. So it's hard to tell where Marathon's going, though. So. Isn't it going to be like a looter shooter? Like a timed looter shooter? It's not like a single player experience. Those of you who don't know, Marathon's the next game that Bungie's making. Look it up real quick. Yeah. That's what I mean by timed looter shooter. It's an extraction shooter. Oh, so it's like Escape from Tarkov. It sounds like core gameplay loop is choose your missions to complete in the game, buy/close your loadout, perks, gear, drop into a server, hunt for loot, complete missions, explore and find secrets, extract, spend XP and updates, repeat. Yeah. Hope they commit to how unforgiving those games are on like DMZ and Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like Warzone almost. Is this like a sequel to Marathon 2, or is this like a reboot of Marathon? Is the question. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you the basic rundown of Marathon lore. Marathon takes place on a ship, I believe called the Marathon, which is like a deep space exploration settlement ship. You're going out. The ship is designed to go out and settle like a distant stars, but it also has an experimental AI on board. There's a bunch of like wheels within wheels, circles within circles. Like there's a whole lot of plot that's going on that doesn't involve the main thing. There's a Marathon 3. I don't remember there being a Marathon 3. But you're on this ship, this colony ship, and you are woken up. You are a security cyborg, and you're woken up, and you're told you're given instructions to go around the ship, the Marathon, and fight off an invading alien force. If this sounds like Halo, this is the predecessor to Halo. Like almost like the Halo 1, the Pillar of Autumn level is basically what Marathon was. You go around fighting aliens on ships and stuff like that. Marathon, Durandal, and Infinity, yeah. And in fact, originally Halo was teased as a Marathon extension. Like it was like a story in the Marathon universe. But the first game takes place on the Marathon. The second book the second game takes place on like a planet where the Marathon has landed. And then I forgot about the third one. I thought the third one was just a recreation of 1 and 2. Because I remember playing Infinity. Very similar to the Axiom, yeah. Sort of there. Terrible Bishop. We have, I thought we had some patch notes, but in reality what we have is, the last patch failed. What we do know is that Theaters of War is in the build, as well as the FPS horde mode. And there was mentions of, there's like the whole sea is in game now in the files and stuff like that, so. No, spirits are not in there. I watched a couple of episodes of the Halo TV series, then I stopped watching, and then I saw someone mention... I saw someone do a review of it, and some of the parts of the series were like Master Chief gets his D wet. I'm like, nope. Not interested. It's not even like it ruined Halo canon, like fucking 343 ruined Halo canon a long time ago. It's more that like I'm not interested in that story at all. It's just not something I was interested in. Can I spoil the plot of Marathon 1? I mean, yeah, as I just said, it was made in like the 90s, so effectively the plot is, if I remember correctly, you get woken up as a security cyborg to fight off this alien threat that's boarded the Marathon. Sometimes you have help from these people called Bobs, who are born on boards. These are people who are awake on the ship while it's traveling through deep space and operating the ship. But the goal is to fight them off and clear out the Marathon. with the help of Durandal, who's the onboard AI of the ship. So. I don't even mind if it was in Halo. Like, I'm one of those people who believes that adaptation is important, and through adaptation, you will get better results. You can't have, like, for instance, Last of Us isn't a one-to-one recreation. The TV series isn't a one-to-one creation of the video game. They add things, and they've adapted things and changed things around. That's fine. They made it a better show to experience for people who haven't played the video game. And people who have played the video game, you had a little bit more. A very important question. Let me see what the Automod said. Oh, it's because it said intercourse. You don't want to watch Master Chief have intercourse with a prisoner of war? Yeah. It's more that, like, it's forced and it feels weirdly WB sort of thing. Basically, it feels like it felt like the Halo series had a limited budget and they cut the budget down so they couldn't go with the epic stuff. And then the writers just went all over the place. It's not consistent. It doesn't seem like the characters don't seem likable or interesting. Like, you can have romance, like an interesting romance, or like love interest would have been, if you're going with the original Halo canon, would be Captain Keyes and Halsey, you know, because they even have Miranda Keyes in the show, you know, and they talk about that dynamic a little bit, but it's just this weird, like, there's all these sorts of weird writing decisions they make with it. And I don't mind people being like making Master Chief like sexy. And I don't mind him taking off the helmet. Like, that's fine. That's going to happen because you want an actor to emote. It's just, there's just so much weird decisions they made with that series that just didn't sit right in terms of a narrative. Just boring. They don't even have to watch or play the source material for Halo. Like, that's fine. You don't have to. As long as you understand the universe, you can do research on, like, the lore or read the books, or, you know. Not much, Saber. There's definitely a push behind the scenes for 320 to go into Evocati, is what seems to be going on right now. That's all you missed. Oh, and Fight or Flight. There's actually going to be an esports tournament at CitizenCon this year. Gives off System Shock vibes? Yes. Yes, it's very System Shock inspired. I don't know which came first, Marathon or System Shock, but it's a Doom clone. You think people should I think with their adapting, about what's wrong with you? It's not even like, you don't necessarily, because, like, I think it was also taken out of context what they were talking about when they talked about when they were saying he didn't play the video games or read the books, because, like, the concept was the idea behind it. I understood the concept, which is he understood the basic idea of what was supposed to happen, but then didn't want to get caught up in what the story was for the video game, because that wouldn't necessarily make a good story for TV, right? I think that's fine. That's a fine interpretation. But I think the problem was that they had no idea what made Halo important in the first place, or the Halo story intriguing to people in the first place. And then they just didn't care. Like, so I don't think the problem was they didn't play Halo, because they could have played Halo and not given a shit. Like, the problem is they just didn't give a shit. How do you feel 343 ruined Halo lore? Not that I don't. Because they had to special snowflake it. Like, basically, everything was fine at the end of Halo 3. And then they said, listen, we need to completely create a brand new race of species. We have to retcon how humanity existed before. Like they gave this deep Dune-esque background of who all these species were and how the prophets and humanity actually had an interstellar civilization that fought against the Forerunners and lost and got literally bombed back to the Stone Age, but were preserved. Like, there's this stupidly long backstory, which is just convoluted as shit to justify why the Forerunners hate humanity. Yet they also mark them as the Reclaimers. Like, like, that was the original thing where it's like, why did you feel you had to retcon this? Why couldn't you have made something more intriguing than this? And then they took that as the basis for Halo 4, which was fine. It wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. And then Halo 5 was an insult. And then Halo Infinite is a botched attempt at a reboot. Halo's unique is that that other sources of media would also build around the world. I don't think it's unique. I mean, 40K has had that forever. There's plenty of other things. It's unique in that the novels had a huge. They were almost a secondary storyline from the games, and like that lets you really fall into the universe more, which didn't really happen outside of Halo. Hey, New Soul. Yeah, the Forerunners, the Precursors, and now the Endless. Yeah. The original idea was that humanity was supposed to be the inheritors of the Forerunner legacy. It's simple. Like, they recognized who humanity was. They believed they had the best impact the best option for inheriting the legacy of the Forerunners. And so they, encoded the DNA of humans to be more like the Forerunners, which is why all of the Halo facilities see them as humanity as the Reclaimers, because that's what they're designated as. They preserve the human civilization or humanity, and then they when everything got wiped out, they got let back out. Like the Halo 3, like end of Halo 3, kind of talked about that. Like that all makes sense. It all works. But then they had to justify the Forerunners, the Precursors, and the Endless. I don't think they intentionally originally hired people, Phil, because there's a lot of people in 343 who are diehard Halo fans. Frankie is a legend amongst the community. The old folks like me in the community remember Frankie, and Frankie was basically the project lead and was a fantastic person for it. It's just that 343 is not Bungie, and they didn't have the same mentality as Bungie. They were much more corporate, and so they're trying to go for something that would make Halo stand out in a universe where Halo was no longer in charge. Like, Halo was no longer the name to beat in FPS. Halo 2 Vista, yeah. I heard they'll have X1 races at CitizenCon. Yes, spread the X1 lore. Just as a reminder, we are sponsored by Factor. !Factor in chat to get access to 50% off of your first box if you are like me and are often incredibly tired or drained or just do not have the motivation to cook for dinner, or don't forget to bring your lunches to work. You can get Factor, which will give you nutritious, filling meals which require 2 minutes in a microwave to make. You get them every week, and with my code, which you can get in !Factor, you can get 50% off of your first box, so you can get a really good discount for that. Hey, how you doing, Orion? I'm doing okay. Yeah, Frankie was with Bungie and then left when Microsoft and Bungie split and headed up 343. Yeah, that's my point. Like, he was a legend with the Halo community, and the fact that he's heading up 343, he cared about Halo for sure. It was just a matter of 343 was too ambitious, and it was an untested studio given a property that they didn't know what to do with, that had no ideas. And had the pressure of having to make a Halo game. And with that being said, Halo 4 is a fantastic attempt at a non-Halo company, not Bungie making Halo. But if they were going to give Halo to anyone, they should have given it to certain affinity. If they had, instead of making 343, if they had bought certain affinity or contracted certain affinity to make the next Halo games, we would have had a much better example of Halo games. For those of you who don't know who Certain Affinity is, they've been around. They're still around today. They're made out of former Bungie employees. They left to make their own company, and a lot of the map packs that were made for Halo 2 and Halo 3 were made by Certain Affinity. So, like, they had experience working with Bungie. They understood Halo. They knew how it worked. So, like, they would have been a perfect studio. Yeah, and they're working on Infinite right now. They would have been a much better choice. But didn't Certain Affinity get brought in after Infinite had been finished? So it's like they should have been the people who made it in the first place. Thoughts on Off the Grid? I don't know what Off the Grid is. Yeah, Bungie was originally an Apple-only company, which is where Marathon was usually made for Apple, and then eventually it got ported over to PC. But same with Marathon was, and Mist. I think was it Mist or Myth? I think it might have been Myth. Myth was their RTS, their fantasy RTS, and then they also did Oni, which is a PS2 exclusive shooter. Blomkamp's game for the guy who did District 9. I have never heard of it, so. Then there's Ensemble who did Halo Wars, yeah. Halo Wars is a good story. I liked Halo Wars' story. Any predictions of what the biggest surprise at CitizenCon will be? I mean, if there is one, it's going to be Squadron 42's announcement for its release window. But and maybe some more Squadron 42 stuff, but it's hard for me to tell anything else because we'd know more if we saw more evidence of server meshing coming to a close, but they can't even make the Master Chief Collection work. Who, 343 or a Certain Affinity? Yeah, I agree with that. Literally anything of substance in the in CitizenCon would probably be a surprise, because right now my cynical side is saying we're going to get the Road to Pyro for the third or fourth year in a row, with no sight of Pyro anytime soon. So. Marathon, just clicked. I played the shit out of it when I was a game. Yeah, it's made by Bungie. It's the precursor. Yeah, I knew Myst was an adventure game. I didn't know exactly what it was. Wait, are you serious? Villeneuve is doing Rendezvous with Rama? Are y'all ready for a mindfuck? Oh, Villeneuve is the one who does the Dune series, right? He's doing Rendezvous with Rama? Man, my brain exploded if he's doing that. For those of you who don't know what Rendezvous with Rama is, it's one of Arthur C. Clarke's best books. It's a book series, I believe. Go read it. Seriously. The basic gist is humanity discovers that an alien probe is around Jupiter. Or alien ship, I think. It's either probe or ship. And so humanity gathers resources together and sends a ship out to rendezvous with the ship that they call Rama to figure out what's going on with this ship. It's all about that. So it's I think it was written before 2001 came out, or maybe afterwards, but it's a really fantastic book series. It's rumors. I don't know who killed. Okay, that'd be. I mean, Villeneuve doing that would he's the only person who would trust with that. Yeah, it's a solid black cylinder, and I think the question is it a probe? Is it an alien ship? But it doesn't seem to be active. That's like the whole thing. I don't know if you could make a Rama movie, though. I think you'd have to make a Rama movie series. Let me see how many books are in the Rama series. Is this just one book? Oh no, there's two. Rendezvous with Rama, Rama 2, Garden of Rama, and Rama Revealed. There's 4 books. Though the book does end with the Ramans do everything in threes. So I'll read the very beginning of the plot. I won't read the whole thing. After an asteroid falls in northwest Italy on September 11th, 2077, mind you, this was written in 1970s, creating a major disaster, the government of Earth sets up a space guard system as an early warning for the arrivals from deep space. The Rama is the title of an alien starship weighing 10 trillion tons, initially mistaken for an asteroid categorized as 31-439. It is detected by astronomers in the year 2131, while it is still outside the orbit of Jupiter. At the angle of its trajectory clearly indicate it is not a long orbit around the sun, but is an interstellar object. Astronomers' interest is further piqued when they realize that the asteroid has an extremely rapid rotation period of 4 minutes and is exceptionally large, as it's named the Rama after the Hindu god. An uncrewed space probe dubbed the Sita is launched from Mars's moon of Phobos, to intercept and photograph it. The resulting images reveal that Rama is a perfect cylinder, 20 kilometers in diameter and 50 kilometers long, and is almost completely featureless, making this mankind's first encounter with an alien spacecraft. So, it'd be good as a miniseries. I think you could do it as a miniseries. Later, Luna Maria. It's very hard sci-fi. It's built around the idea of hard sci-fi. Of course, there's some fantastical elements, but this is Arthur C. Clarke. You know, this is the man who invented the geo satellites. Like, he's literally a scientist. He literally, made satellites, or is it geostationary satellites? Came up with the concept of geostationary satellites. All right. I think we're going to end that here because we're kind of coming up on 3 hours. But I will say, as always, thank you to Factor for sponsoring the stream. Remember to use !Factor to get 50% off of your first box. So you can get your pre-packaged meals, comes in 2 minutes to heat them up. You can get it from 4 to like, I think 12 or 20 on there. But check it out. It's definitely suggest it. I'll be back on Friday, probably, for a little bit of gameplay streaming. And then on Saturday, we've got the captain's table. And I think I'll be taking Sunday off. We'll see. Just because I want to have some time off to hang out with the family and stuff like that. Especially since Oppenheimer and Barbie both came out. And I have to talk to Cam about which one we're going to see So again, no lore video this week for Star Citizen, but there is going to be a lore video for, what is it called? For Starfield, a primer that kind of goes over the entire, what we know about the background of the universe of Starfield. Lots of the stuff like that. And we'll also be doing, that's about it. The Captain's Table will be with Fast Cart and got one other person who I'm blanking on the name, but yeah, it'd be cool. Anyways, thank you all for hanging out. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.